All right, the first thing we're gonna look at is the setting. So after you install Green Invoice, the first thing you're gonna see is the Green Invoice setting widget. And here you'll be able to put your API key ID and API key secret. This you'll have to fetch from your Green Invoice account. You'll have to go there and you have to have the addition of best or higher with Green Invoice, right? If you have a sandbox environment, you'll be able to check it here. And if not, you'll be connecting directly to your production environment, either or, depends on your use case. Now, after you'll put the details, you can do like check here and see if you're able to connect. This is just for checking the connection, not saving the setting yet. As I have put 0 connection here, it says that the connection is not working, right? You can always switch from Hebrew to English here. So here you have the default information. And if I move it to English and I'll save it, it will be apparent here as well. We'll be able to do a few more things. I'll just say that if you don't know how to do it, we have the API documentation linked here. So you'll be able to know how to do it exactly, but it's super, super easy. You're just going to Green Invoice. After you're going into Green Invoice, the first thing you'll see is your personal space. And in this personal space, you'll be able to go here and go to Developer Tools. In Developer Tools, you'll click it and you'll see your ability to create your own API keys, right? This is an API key I created here for a test, and you can create another one. And after you'll be creating that, you'll get both a secret and an API key. I'm gonna create a new one just to show you. I'll call it U, right? And you'll see that's how it looks. I'm gonna delete it immediately right now, just like because there is no need for this kind of key, but that's how a secret will be looking at. The API key will be looked at. And so you can copy both and then just paste it in the setting widget as discussed. So now I'll be deleting it. Another thing you can create here is a webhook. A webhook will just means every time a payment for an invoice was created, it will automatically send a notification to Zoho CRM to update the record. So this is something we also support. And if you want to create one, you can create this one and you just have to create the URL for the function to fetch this. So it's something that exists inside Zoho CRM, and of course, the secret if required for the authentic. There is a bit more information on that inside the extension document. All right, so this is just for the basic settings. So you'll be choosing your basic language, and of course, you'll be choosing your email to be sent immediately, automatically, every time you send a PDF or not. So you can define it both as like an organization setting, and inside every invoice you send, do I want this invoice to be sent automatically to the client, or I want to look at it before it is sent? So this is a decision you can have. Now for the VAT. So in order to create an invoice inside Green Invoice, of course, we have to create the contact or account inside Green Invoice. And for that, we need a tax ID for the account or a regular ID for the contact, right? There is no other option. Assuming you are not using any other field currently in your CRM, you don't have those fields, you can just basically use the GI tax ID field that is created in every account upon installation of the extension. If you already have one, you can just list it here. Let's say I put tax ID, right? And then it will, and you'll run this function. This function will take this field you created, it will scan all of your CRM, and it will copy it to the GI tax ID so the extension will know how to fetch the tax ID from an already existing record in your CRM. So it all means if you already have a tax ID, you can just click here and it will copy all the fields to the needed place in your CRM. If not, you can work with GI tax ID or create a new one and double it, whatever is best for you, right? And here you'll see more extension on how to create the webhook if required. All right, now that we finished the boring part of the widget and the setting, let's look how it looks inside the invoice. Okay. All right. So we're inside this invoice, and now we can send it to Green Invoice. If I click send to Green Invoice, the first thing I will see is the type of accounting documents I can create. So I can create a tax invoice, a tax receipt invoice, just a receipt, a pro forma invoice, which is basically a quote, and a transaction, which is what most people send before they get tax invoice receipt, right? So we'll choose the document we want. And then after we choose the document, we can choose if we're charging an account or a contact. Here is a contact and here is an account, right? So for account, it will require you to put a tax ID, right? If you will not be putting a tax ID because it's like a nonprofit organization or school or some other organization that might not have a tax ID, you can click here and it will not be required, right? So Both are options. And if you sell B2C and not B2B, then you can also charge the contact, and then the tax ID here is regular ID. Now here you'll see all the details that will be reflected, right? So the name of the subject, the invoice number inside Zoho, the date of payment, the amount to pay. So is it including tax, not including tax? Am I adding it? The currency and status that will be provided later. So we can choose if it's already paid or unpaid based on the situation. Let's say we're creating a transaction invoice, so it will be unpaid, right? And let's say we want to give them net 30 for the payment terms. So it will be automatically calculated by the date of today. For example, today is July, and therefore net 30 for July will be 31st of July. And I'll put 45 or 60. It will be updated immediately as well. So you can have that. This will automatically sync the clients every time you send an API call. So if you already don't have this client set up in your Green Invoice account, it will be created automatically or updated based on the current value. So let's say you had an account, something changed, or it's a new contact in the account that you want to add. So it will sync it automatically. I would say there is an automatic sync every day about it, but it is here, right? So if you want to, I actually recommend to have it on in case there is a problem with the sync. For example, you change a few details here and it was not updated by the automatic sync. So you can create that. There is also option to send or not send the email with the invoice automatically to the contact mentioned in the invoice, right? And then do I add VAT from Green Invoice side or not? Here, VAT is already added, so there is no need. I actually prefer to add the VAT in Green Invoice. I think it's a bit more clean. And that's what I would recommend you to do, right? So put the invoice inside Zoho CRM without VAT and just click add VAT when you're creating it. That's my instruction. If you had it here and then you forget to toggle that out, you'll get double tax. You don't want that. That's annoying. And then you can also add a link to the deal after you're creating, and you can decide if the invoice would be in Hebrew and English. So this is not for your setting, is if you're creating English invoices and Hebrew invoices inside Green Invoice, this would choose what language that would be. I'll stick to Hebrew for this one. And now, you know what? All right. So that's a mistake, which is amazing for me. They're saying the date you're putting on it is future date or too early for this type of document. So for Cheshbon Iska, for the transaction deal, you'd have to put a better, like you cannot put plus 30, plus 60 because it's too long, right? This is a condition from Green Invoice side. So it catch that, it provide the error from GI, right? The T405 error, and he explains exactly what is the problem for you. So right now I'll change to net 30 and now it will work. Great. And now we have the GI angles. You can click here or the exact link, whatever you prefer. So if I click here, it will open the Green Invoice. As you can see, it's test. The cost is $1. Tax was added already 18% with not here. So we toggled it off, but again, can be added here and can be added there. I just think it looks much better than when it's added there. So I prefer to add it on the Green Invoice level and not the invoice, right? Inside Zoho CRM. And of course, you can look at the things. You can see the contact. You can take it, you can send it, you can do whatever you want, and you can also do actions from here. But again, just create it, everything is perfect, right? And then the second thing we do is we can see that after we did that, all of the data we received back from the API call from Green Invoice is also reflected in the CRM. What do I mean by that? I mean that right now, we have a lot of fields that were installed with the extension, and they provide a lot of value here. For example, we can see, is it unpaid? What is the payment terms? How much was paid, or what was the last time we checked the payment status and everything else, right? So for example, right now we can refresh GI status and we can actually check the payment status, and you'll see that it is not paid, right? And of course, another thing we can check is we can send to Green Invoice again. And now when we try to send to Green Invoice, an invoice we already created, basically it will show us the last default value. You can refresh it and pull it from here as well. And another thing it will do, it will allow us to convert the document. So when I'm sending a tax invoice or a transaction invoice, I might want to create from it a tax invoice receipt when I'm getting the money. So I can choose the type of payment I want to that I have received, and I can update it here to create the corresponding needed. For example, in that case, the tax invoice receipt again to the contact automatically. I toggled the email, it was sent automatically. I just send here and it will send a reminder. So we can do everything from here. And of course, we can just open the document from here as well. So everything is possible. Now, another thing that you might be interested in is understanding how many unpaid invoices you have in your CRM. What is the report? What is the status? What are they here or not, right? And another thing we can do, we can click on an invoice and we can create this unpaid invoices report that comes bundled with the extension. So here we can see, for example, all of the unpaid invoices, which are late, which are open, which are partly paid, and everything, and how much overall open invoice we have, how much needed to be paid, how much in the next 7 days or late. And we can sync it again to Paul if needed. So you'll get the ability to manage your invoices and transactions, everything from your CRM. You'll be able to check payment status directly from your CRM, be able to get a very nice bundled report of everybody who is paid or not paid, or check for a specific. If we check for a specific invoice, for example, I'll put test and we'll see test that we just created, and I can click here and it will take me directly to the test invoice here. So thank you so much, guys. I really hope you liked it. And of course, if you have any other questions, tell us. We'll be more than happy to help. Thank you so much.